The Battle of Gaugamela, fought on October 1st, 331 BCE, stands as one of the most significant and decisive engagements in ancient history. This battle saw the forces of Alexander the Great of Macedon clash with a Persian army led by King Darius III. The victory at Gaugamela not only secured Alexander's dominance over the Persian Empire, but also marked a turning point in the spread of Greek culture and influence across the known world. This battle is often studied not only for its military strategies and tactics, but also for its broader historical implications. The path to Gaugamela began years earlier with the ascension of Alexander the Great to the throne of Macedon, following the assassination of his father, King Philip II, in 336 BCE. Philip had already laid the groundwork for Macedonian expansion by unifying the Greek city-states under his control, establishing a formidable military machine. Upon his death, Alexander inherited a powerful army and an ambitious plan for conquest. His eyes were set on the Persian Empire, the largest and most powerful empire of the time, stretching from the Mediterranean Sea to the Indus River Valley. Alexander's campaign against Persia commenced in 334 BCE when he crossed the Hellespont, modern-day Dardanelles, into Asia Minor. The first major battle at Granicus was a resounding success for Alexander, followed by another decisive victory at Issus in 333 BCE. These early victories allowed Alexander to secure his control over Asia Minor and provided a morale boost to his troops. Moreover, they demonstrated his strategic brilliance and the effectiveness of the Macedonian phalanx, a compact infantry formation armed with long spears known as sarissas. The stage was set for a final showdown between Alexander and Darius III. Darius, having suffered defeats at Granicus and Issus, sought to regroup and assemble a massive force to confront Alexander. He chose the plains near Gaugamela, modern-day northern Iraq, as the battleground. The terrain was ideal for his army, which relied heavily on cavalry and chariots. Darius hoped to use his numerical superiority and the flat terrain to his advantage, giving his chariots room to maneuver and strike at the Macedonian lines. Darius's army was vast, consisting of various contingents drawn from across his empire, including Persian infantry, cavalry, Indian elephants, and side chariots. Historical estimates suggest that Darius's forces numbered anywhere from 50,000 to over 100,000, though ancient sources often exaggerate these numbers. Alexander, on the other hand, commanded a much smaller force, estimated to be around 40,000 soldiers, comprising infantry and cavalry units from Macedon and allied Greek states. In the days leading up to the battle, Alexander carefully planned his strategy. He understood the risk of facing such a numerically superior force on open ground. To counter this, he employed a tactic that would exploit his army's strengths in mobility, discipline, and coordination. Alexander divided his army into several divisions, placing a strong emphasis on the cavalry. He personally led the elite companion cavalry, a heavy cavalry unit that served as his primary strike force. As dawn broke on October 1st, 331 BCE, the two armies faced each other on the plains of Gaugamela. Darius had arranged his forces in a wide formation, with his strongest units positioned at the center and flanks. His plan was to envelop the Macedonian forces and crush them with sheer numbers. He placed scythed chariots at the forefront, intending to break the Macedonian lines with their terrifying charge. Alexander, recognizing the threat posed by Darius's chariots and cavalry, deployed his forces in a slanted formation known as the oblique order. This arrangement allowed him to concentrate his attack on a specific point in the enemy's line while keeping his own lines flexible. He placed his phalanx infantry at the center, supported by light infantry and archers. His companion cavalry, commanded by Alexander himself, was positioned on the right flank, ready to exploit any weaknesses in the Persian lines. As the battle commenced, Darius launched his chariots in a furious charge against the Macedonian center. However, Alexander's troops, disciplined and well-trained, executed a clever maneuver to neutralize this threat. As the chariots approached, the Macedonian infantry opened their ranks, allowing the chariots to pass through harmlessly, while the rear lines attacked the charioteers with javelins and spears. With the chariot threat diminished, Alexander seized the initiative. He led his companion cavalry in a bold charge against the left flank of the Persian army. This maneuver aimed to create a gap in the enemy lines, allowing the Macedonian forces to penetrate deep into the Persian formation. The charge was executed with precision and speed, catching the Persians off guard and sowing confusion among their ranks. Meanwhile, Darius, observing the growing chaos in his lines, attempted to restore order and rally his troops. Despite his efforts, the disciplined Macedonian assault began to take its toll on the Persian army. The phalanx, advancing steadily in the center, pressed forward against the Persian infantry, creating further pressure on the already strained lines. In a critical moment, Alexander executed a tactical maneuver that would turn the tide of the battle. Spotting an opportunity, he led a contingent of cavalry in a daring assault directly towards Darius himself. The sudden and unexpected attack caused panic among the Persian troops surrounding their king. Fearing for his life, Darius abandoned his chariot and fled the battlefield, leaving his army leaderless. The sight of their king's retreat had a demoralizing effect on the Persian forces. Without central command and facing relentless pressure from the Macedonian army, the Persian lines began to collapse. Many Persian soldiers, seeing no hope of victory, either surrendered or fled. The Macedonian forces, seizing the momentum, pursued the retreating enemy, inflicting heavy casualties in the process. The Battle of Gaugamela was a decisive victory for Alexander the Great. It effectively shattered the Persian army and marked the beginning of the end for the Achaemenid Empire. With Darius in flight and his forces in disarray, Alexander was able to march unopposed into the heart of the Persian Empire, capturing the capitals of Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis in succession. The significance of the Battle of Gaugamela extends beyond the immediate military outcome. It solidified Alexander's reputation as one of history's greatest military commanders and secured his control over the vast territories of the Persian Empire. This victory facilitated the spread of Greek culture and influence across Asia, laying the foundations for the Hellenistic era. The battle also exemplifies the effective use of strategy and tactics in overcoming numerical superiority. Alexander's ability to adapt his plans to the strengths and weaknesses of both his army and his opponents played a crucial role in his success. His leadership on the battlefield, characterized by boldness and tactical acumen, remains a subject of admiration and study in military history. In the aftermath of Gaugamela, Darius III attempted to regroup and rally his remaining forces, but his authority was irreparably weakened. He was ultimately betrayed by his own satraps and killed in 330 BCE, marking the definitive end of Persian resistance to Alexander's conquest. The impact of the Battle of Gaugamela resonated far beyond the borders of the Persian Empire. It ushered in a new era of cultural exchange and synthesis, as Greek and Eastern influences merged under Alexander's rule. The Hellenistic world that emerged from these conquests would shape the course of history, influencing art, science, philosophy, and governance for centuries to come. Alexander's victory at Gaugamela, achieved through a combination of strategic brilliance, daring leadership, and the unwavering discipline of his troops, stands as a testament to his legacy as a conqueror and visionary. It is a defining moment in the narrative of ancient history, marking the rise of a new power and the transformation of the ancient world.